What's going on, guys? Today we're going to do a little series on how to use the functions of live click. And we're going to start with the specific use of the Lexicon Lookup tab. So let's jump in. Okay, so we have got our BibleWorks-24 workspace open, which if you are unfamiliar with that, you can go back to my first couple videos where I talk about that, setting this up. But if you notice, the first, probably most important thing with live click is that it has to be checked. So we have this little box up here in our text tab, and we can uncheck it and check it. If we uncheck it, live click will not work. So it has to be checked for live click to work. By default, my workspace has it checked. If yours does not, you can check it and resave, so that way it does have live click work by default. I think that you will probably always want it to be checked if you study similarly in the same manner that I do. So what is live click? Well, it basically means that when you click on things, things happen. And one of those things is it searches for the words that you click on in your lexicons. So I have here, we're in Colossians 2:1. I'll click on struggle. And you can see it refreshed this page up here, right here. It did other things, but we're just going to focus on the lexicon lookup window. So what it did is it went up here in this window and it searched for the word that I clicked on. So here's struggle right here, and it's English, obviously, and it searched for it in my lexicon lookup. So here it came giving me a result in the Webster's dictionary, which is one of my it's a dictionary in my lexicon list, my lexicon group, and here are the results. So red is always my hits. So it found struggle, a violent effort or efforts, and it's got the definition and so on. It has a little bit more information there. So real quick, as we look at this, it's just going to follow whatever I click on. So here's those. Let's do understanding. To understand. So right now it's got a result showing for the vines, because the vines is in my my lexicon lookup filter, but it's not necessarily. The vines is a Greek dictionary, so searching English isn't going to bring the correct result that I want. Now if I scroll down all the way down here, it's going to be a while. Way down here, there it is, Webster's dictionary. So the Webster's is English dictionary, and if I'm just searching for the English word, that's what I'm going to want. I'm going to want an English dictionary. So there we go. There's my understand definition. And I can do the same for Greek. I can go over here to Laodicea, and I can click on that. That's the Greek word for Laodicea. You see it searches up here in the Greek word for Laodicea. And here I have my first entry is Louanida, and it's giving me the result of 93.514. And so, of course, here it is, a city in Asia Minor. I can do this for really any word. Knit together. That's a rather big Greek word. I can single click it. So notice that it's highlighting it, or it's tying the two together. It's highlighting it both in my English and in my Greek, knit together in the Greek down here, and then obviously it's just knit up here, but those are the same words knit together. It's just highlighting the knit in NASB. But if I click on the knit one up here, it's just going to search for knit in my lexicon lookup tab. But if I go down here, it's going to search for the Greek version. Now if we go over to the Old Testament, which let's do Psalm 61, and I search for the Hebrew word, give heed. There's the word for give heed right there. I click on that. There we go. Took it a second. But here it is, searching in the TWOT, because I have TWOT, Theological Workbook of the Old Testament, in my lexicon lookup list. And here's my results right here, 2084, and its definition and some derivatives as well. So as you can see, it works for Hebrew and Greek, and it'll work in this window right here. I have the Septuagint, I believe. Yeah, we could go up here to Malachi right here. So here's the Greek LXX, and I can click on a Greek word there, And look at that, it searches it as well. So it doesn't really care what my source is, whatever it is, it will just search for it. The word that I click on will show up in the Lexicon Lookup tab. Now there could be a result that's not going to show, but for the most part, it will show. Like right here, it doesn't work for, this is my word usage, and when I try to click on a word there, it won't search for it. So it's going to prioritize searching in my text window. So I go over here and search for God. God's going to show up there. I don't believe it does this. Maybe it does in my verse lookup. Let's see if it does. No, it doesn't work for when I click on words in my verse lookup tab. But yeah, so it's supposed to just focus on what I can see in my text window. But it will work for any of these tabs. I can go over here and click on Abraham. It'll search for Abraham. I can click on this one, search for brothers, and so on and so forth. So super useful as far as getting answers quickly. Searching a mini, it's basically you could have a whole library of lexicons, and by one click you would search through all of those and it would give you results for each one. So for example, let's go back to Colossians 1. Oop, I didn't put a space there. And let's search for thanks. To give thanks. This is the Greek word to give thanks. So I have the Vine's dictionary that gets pulled up. I have Louw-Nida, and I have TD&T, which is a little Kittle, and I'm giving the results for that. And then somewhere down here, which is probably going to be a while because TD&T is pretty long. You see, it's pretty big. I have BDAG right there. I thought I was up there. Greeks. Oh yeah, the Strongs as well. So the point is, I've got a bunch of different lexicons that it's instantly pulling all the results for, and it's putting them in this tab. And that saves me so much time, because otherwise I would have to go look for the specific lexicon, open the window, search for the specific word, copy it, paste it up there, and do that. And that would just take a lot of time. It's just so much easier. Just click the word, it shows up in my full list of lexicons. So if you ever want to change the order as to how they show up, so for example, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click this magnifier right here. I'm going to make this zone bigger. Okay, so I click this. It's going to make it bigger. So now I have my full Lexicon Lookup tab. I can scroll through it and see everything that's displaying. But if I ever want to change the order that these show up, so I have Vines as first, Louw-Nida as second, and every time I click on a Greek word, it will show me them in this order, depending on if it brings a result. So if it searches Vines, it doesn't give me a result for the word that I'm looking up, it will then show first as Louw-Nida, and it won't show anything for Vines because there's not anything there. And the same, if it doesn't find anything in Louw-Nida, it'll just show Vines and Little Kittle. But to change the order, I go over here and I can do, so I hit this little gear right here. It has a drop down set display options, and it shows me sort by importance. And I don't know how it deems what's important or what's not important. But the one I use is sort by library entry. So it's looking at the entry in my library as to how I placed the particular lexicons that I use in my lexicon group, and it's going to sort them by the order that I want to show. So I'll do an example of this. Let's say that I go to my library entry, so I'm going to make this small again, this window, and I'm going to go over here to my library, and I'm going to open it up. It's going to pop up over here on the side. I can scroll all the way down, and down here I have, way down here, I have my groups. And the one that I'm using for my Lexicon Lookup is this Lex I use. So I have Vines, Louw-Nida, Little Kittle, BDAG, all those. Here's all the lexicons I use. If I want to put Louw-Nida first, I'm going to take this, drag it up here, right there, and oop, it went to the bottom. Maybe I can't put it at the top. Let's bring, yeah, there we go. Okay, so Louw-Nida is at the top, Vines dictionary is at second, and I have Little Kittle first. So theoretically, if I click on the, if I do live click again and click on a word, it's going to default to show Louw-Nida first and Vine second. which is the opposite of what it was showing. See over here, it was showing vines first. So let's just see if it does that. So let's do the same word again. Okay, so here it is. Look what's at the front, Laonida. So if you want to change the order of how they display in your lexicon lookup, your text display in the lexicon lookup tab, you just switch the order that you have in your lexicon group, and then you change this little drop down to be sort by library entry. And then I believe this setting right here is also tied to your workspace. So if you changed it and you want it to be changed on your workspace the next time you opened it, you would need to resave your workspace. All right, I'm going to go ahead and for the sake of the video, keep it that way. And we're going to look at how to use this lexicon lookup tab most effectively. All right, so sometimes if you're using a big word, you get a bunch of results. Let's go ahead and do this with this word truth here, right here, aletheia. And this Greek word, we'll click on it right here, and it's going to show up in our lexicon lookup tab. You see it searched for it right there. And then we're going to magnify this so we can see this is going to be a big entry. There's going to be a lot in here for this Greek word truth here. And as you can see, here's my Laonida entry, and then I have a little kittle. And if I keep scrolling way down here, I'll have BDAG as well. There's BDAG. Okay, so a quick side tangent from looking at how to properly use this. If you only see a little bit of stuff in here, it's probably because you have this show excerpts clicked. So it's pretty brief. It just kind of gives you excerpts of the hits that it has, and you're not going to see hardly any of the information that you want to see. You can see fuller information. If you go over here and you click open, it'll open the particular window that you're wanting, the source that you're looking at. It'll open that and go to the hit that you're searching for. But I don't necessarily like to do that. I like to keep everything as one. So I always change this to show full text. That way I can see everything. Even though it is a lot sometimes, I still like it. And here's why. Here's why I like it. So if you have a lot in here and I want to see the specific translation or the lexicon definition for the specific verse that I'm looking at. Now I could read this whole thing if I really, really wanted to have a great understanding of what truth, the Greek word for truth is. I could read this all. It would take me a while. And it may be, to some extent, a waste of my time depending on what I'm trying to get out of the verse that I'm studying here. But one thing I can do is I can go over here and I can say, okay, I know I'm studying the word truth as it appears in, where was it, truth? It's verse 6, so Colossians 1:6. I just want to see, do the lexicon say anything about Colossians 1:6? So what I can do, instead of searching and trying to find all the references in here for Colossians 1:6, which there are some, and you'll see, it would just take me a long time to find them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and I'm going to I'm on Windows, which is, the shortcuts are similar for Mac, but I'm going to do Control-A to select everything. So I highlight everything in this selection. Now, one thing that you do need to be aware of is if you're doing this, you need to scroll all the way down to the bottom to make sure that you load all those results, because by default, both Windows and Mac will not load the whole page, especially if you have a big word. So to make sure that you're getting all the results for the particular word that you're studying, scroll all the way down and then do the Control-A, because otherwise you're just going to, when you do Control-A without scrolling all the way down, you are only going to select the text that has loaded. So you may miss BDAG and a bunch of other lexicons that you have in there that haven't loaded because you haven't scrolled down all the way. So once I select Control-A and highlight and select everything, I'm going to do copy. Now I can do copy as the shortcut on my keyboard, which is Control-C for Windows, or I can left click or right click, sorry, and do copy. I almost never do this. I exclusively use shortcuts. If you have a keyboard, it's like very valuable to use shortcuts. But for your sake, so you can see what I'm doing, I'll put the prompt on the display. So copy, and then I'm going to go to my favorite text editor, which I like Word. I have Word. If you don't have Word, use a different one. There's great free ones that are out there. Word's just great at searching for things, and the way it formats the ability to search through input words that you input into it is really useful. So here I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do paste, and I think I'm going to bring what I just copied over, and I believe I will do this as in I think it's keep. I think it's this one, keep source formatting. It's going to take it a while. There we go. So it brought me, how many pages is this? This is, oh, it doesn't say either that. I'm looking at the wrong. It's a lot of pages. But what I'm trying to find is, I'm trying to find my, the understanding for what the lexicons say for Colossians 6, the word truth in Colossians 6. So I'm going to go back to my word here, and I'm going to go and search for Colossians 6. So I can do Control F or hit this little find button up here in Word, and it's going to bring up this window. And I can do, usually all these are references are done by abbreviation. So here's Colossians, some will have periods, 1:6, and that did not bring me up any results. So let me do this, Colossians space 1:6, see if that brings me any results. Okay, that brings me one result, and that would be in, I think this is BDAG. Yeah, so BDAG. Notice it actually has all the references in there for the times that this appears. So here it's talking about, let's scroll up. I'm not super, an actual event or state, reality. That would be point number 3 of the definition for truth, an actual event or state or reality, and it references Colossians 1:6. I can also, if I don't know exactly what it is or how it's typed in, I can do 1:6. I'm going to get more results by just doing 1:6, but you can see like I'm getting Psalm 51:6. Here's Galatians 1:6, 1 John. Here's, oh, that was the one that we were just at, Colossians 1:6, and then here's Colossians 1:6 as well. I think this is a BDAG. Oh, that's Vines. So Vines has it. Truth is used objectively, and then here, the understanding for Colossians. I can work back from this. Truthfulness, truth, not merely verbal, but sincerity, integrity of character, and then that would be similar to John 8:44, 3 John 3. In phrases, example, in truth, on the basis of, Mark 12:14, Luke 20:21, in 2 Corinthians 6:7, Colossians 1:6. So what is telling me these are all similar references, and I can go look at those if I want. But at least it helps me understand, here's where it defines the definition for my specific verse, and I can narrow that down rather than reading through the whole thing. It just helps me. Now, granted, there are some times when you study words in Scripture that you actually do need to read through everything, and I don't want to take away that and encourage you that, hey, just find the one reference, the lexicon reference to the verse that you're looking at. But this is a way that saves time if you're in, if you're using. Or if you're doing a quick word study for a particular verse that you just need to get a pretty short, quick definition for. In reality, if you're going to try to figure out really what is truth in the biblical sense, and how do you understand this word, you need to do a much deeper word study, which we'll do in the future. But for this sake, I just want to show you this is useful to quickly search and find verse references. So when you do this, just remember all these are going to be in abbreviations, so you're not going to be able to search for Romans, and it's just not going to show up. It's going to be RO something, for whatever, or it's going to be ROM for, or whatever it is. It's going to all be in verse references. So you may have to try a couple before you get the one that actually has the results. Like I had to do Colossians period 1. And then I did Colossians space 1, and Colossians, I don't know, maybe there's not, maybe there's one that doesn't use spaces. No, there's none, no results there. Colossians, no space. Okay, so you just have to try them to find ones that are there. So super, super useful. This will save you so much time if you're trying to quickly find a particular reference about the word that you're searching for. All right, let's close this because I don't need it anymore. Don't save, no, and we're going to go back to accordance. And we're still here in this Lexicon Lookup tab. So, okay, a couple more things about this. Let's say I want to search for a word without clicking on it, and I want to search for it in the Lexicon Lookup tab. Can I do that? Yes, you can. So I can go over here, and if I'm going to search for an English word for sin, notice I tried to type it in, and it typed it in Greek. Okay, so that is a problem because I was trying to write sin and it didn't work. So go over here, right to this drop down right here, which you probably already understand what that means. And I have the entries that it's going to allow. I can do Hebrew, I can do lots of different ones. Let's do English, and let's search for sin. Okay, here's my definition for Lamanida for sin, and I have all my other results here as well. So I can type really whatever I'm looking for in here, and then I can get a result. Hit enter, get a result. So I can also copy and paste into live click. Remember how I was showing over here that I couldn't use live click to get this word to display over here in my word usage or my verse lookup tabs? It wasn't working, or it's not that it just doesn't work. It's not that it's not working now, but it wasn't made to be used over there. But what I can do is I can take a results like this one right here. I can copy this word. I can go over here, copy, and then I can go over here in my entry. I got to change it to Greek though. Okay, got to change it to Greek because I'm going to paste a Greek word in there. I can do paste. I can hit enter and search for it. So really, any Greek word, if I'm on the internet and I'm searching for some word study about, I read an article about some word, I can go, wow, what does my Lexicon Lookup tab say about that? I can copy it. I can come over here and I can paste it in there and get a result when I hit enter. I can see the same thing for Hebrew. I just have to change this entry form to the specific language that I'm using. So let's say I wanted to type into Greek specifically. I wanted to type Greek in here. So if I change it to Greek, I don't have a Greek keyboard. So how am I going to know what I'm typing? Okay, this is valuable to know. And I could do a tutorial on this for Mac, but for the sake of time, I'm using Windows, so I'm going to do it on Windows exclusively. I'm sure there's tons of instruction videos on how to get this to work, not specifically for accordance, but what I'm about to do on Mac. And what I'm about to do is I'm going to use a on-screen keyboard. Okay, I know Mac has an on-screen keyboard, and I'm going to use it in Greek. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. If you're trying to know how to do it on a Mac, just Google how to get an on-screen keyboard to show up, and then how to add a Greek keyboard to your Mac. It's probably going to be super similar to what we're about to do in Windows. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here. This is my search. I'm going to do settings. Go to my settings here, and it's going to take a second. And I'm going to go over here to the time and language. See, I've got these options on the side right here. I'm going to do time and language and region. We're going to select that. Language and region, not typing, but language and region. All right, now I actually already added Greek, but for your sake, I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove Greek. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go to add a language, highlighted right here. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to bring up all these different languages. And rather than actually scrolling down to Greek, I'm going to just search for it here in the top. And we're going to find right here it is. I don't want this one. I want this one. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to do next. And it's going to say, do you want these things? Optional language features, language pack, text to speech. I don't need that. I don't need handwriting unless you actually want to write Greek. So then I'm going to do install, and it's going to install that. Okay, now if you're on Windows, you're going to see something you've never seen before down here. In this, right next to your, I don't know, this is your status bar? I'm not sure what this is called. But you have this little option right here, and if you click it, it's going to ask what keyboard layout you're using. So by default, mine's English, but I can go down here and I can select Greek. And so now anytime I go to a word, let's go to word, and I type in something, it will type, okay, it's typing English. Let's change it. I must switch back. It will type Greek for me. Okay. And I can switch it back to English, and it will go back to this is English. Okay, pretty cool. Don't save. So now I have the two. It's still loading this language back, but that's okay. It'll still work. And I can switch back and forth between English and Greek. Now, for the sake of not knowing what I'm actually clicking on, because I don't have a Greek keyboard, you could probably buy one online, but that would be another thing. So I'm not going to do that. I can go over here to my search. I can do on-screen keyboard. Here we go. Just search for on-screen, and it came up right here. And I click this, and here's what it's going to show me. Look at this. It's just keyboard on my screen, just like what it's called, on-screen keyboard. And I can select my inputs over here, and I can go over here. So this is, say I want to type in Greek, a Greek word of some sorts. And I go over here now. Right now it's showing English, but if I go down here to the bottom and this input right here, I can click that, and it's going to show me. Oh, it didn't move that out of the way. I can change it to Greek, and look at this. All my inputs change to Greek, so I know exactly what letters I'm typing in and how how I'm typing them in, and it'll show up over there. See how it's showing up, and so on and so forth. So there you go. That's an incredible useful tool. That if you're doing a lot of Greek entry and you don't have a Greek keyboard, it's very useful. So there is something you can do for your lexicon lookup and inputting your keyboard in Greek. You can also do Hebrew as well, although I don't really do a lot of Hebrew study, so I usually only use the Greek. But a Greek keyboard, but it is there if you like to do that. And that's how to do it in Windows. There's, I'm sure, another way to do it in Mac, which I can do a tutorial for you if you want me to. But okay, so we got how to copy and paste an input into our search bar here in Lexicon Lookup, how to use live click and single click to get words to show up, both English, Greek, and Hebrew. And we also looked at how to search throughout this and find specific results. I'm gonna say one more thing about this too. Let's go to a word that let's do inheritance in Colossians 1:12. Let's look at that. That might be a good one. So I'm going to search for this word inheritance in Colossians 1:12, and hopefully this gives me the results I'm looking for. So here's low 9, this is 6.219, and there's my definition. It has a bunch of other results, but I'm going to look at how to use little Kittle, because this is confusing. It was confusing for me, and I'm just going to run this through how to do it really quick. Little Kittle is organized pretty easily, but if you don't know how it's organized, it can be confusing. So right now, it groups words into families, and it does kind of like essays on the families of particular words. So this Greek word inheritance, it's grouping all of these words into this family here, and so it's got to appoint by lot, to allot, complete, completeness, heir, join heir, to inherit, to give, to receive an inheritance, and inheritance. And it's going to throw all those definitions into this next essay that it's about to show on these particular words. So, of course, it highlights the red one. This is the one I searched for, right? Because it's up here. See how those are similar? And then it's got the transliteration of the word. So if I want to go find where that is, which this is going to be the first one because it's listed as the first one, it's going to be right here. So notice how it puts the transliteration rather than the actual Greek word right there. And the definition that's going to follow this, and until it shows, the definition that's going to follow this is going to be the definition for this. And basically it's going to show this one, and then it's going to show the definition for this one, then it's going to show the definition for this one, and you get the point. So it's going to show them in order. So the first one is the one it's going to show. If I searched for this particular Greek word, first of all, that would be the one that would be highlighted, but then I have to scroll past these two to find the definition for this one. So that can be kind of confusing. The definition is going to be associated with the order that it's listed in, not particularly the first one that it shows. So right now it is the first one that it's showing, right? Because it's right there. Because these two are the same, but that's not always true. It could be way down here. If I was search for this Greek word right here, I would have to scroll all the way through to find that particular one. Like let's just do that real quick. It is somewhere down here. Oh, maybe it's right here. Yeah, here we go. So it's right there. So they just grouped all those together. Okay, so then the way that the little Kittle works is it does these particular points that represent things. So this is point number 1 is the Greek usage of this word right here, to inherit it. And it says the basic sense. I'm not going to, for the sake of time, I won't read it. And then it has more Greek usage. So this is in the Septuagint, and times that it's used, I can actually go look in my Septuagint and highlight these words and see what they say in regards to inheritance. And then in later Judaism, here's point 3 about Greek usage. In later Judaism, we still find the 2 census of lot and portion. Thus in AD 67, the Zealots chose a new high priest, and the lot of Joseph tells. So anyway, it's got some historical understanding for the word. And here's some of Flao's writings in OT. And then some other New Testament writings as well. So I was looking for Colossians 1:12, and here's my kind of understanding of how it's understood in the New Testament. A first meaning in the New Testament is lot, and that's from Matthew 15:24. And then and there's a reference in eschatological portion in Acts 26:18, Colossians 1:12, and so on and so forth. So there's how I find the particular understanding for the word that I'm searching for. But all this other stuff up here is really useful because I can get a basic understanding for how the word was understood when Paul would have written it, and when Matthew would have used it, or Mark and Acts and 1 Peter. So that is just pretty useful to understand how the little Kittle is working in this particular order and how it's set up. And as the more words that you search and you get an idea for how little Kittle's set up, the easier it is to use. And the reason why I'm showing you little Kittle is like other things are pretty easy to look at and distinguish. Like you've got Lau and Ida, and they organize words into groups and subgroups. So this is artifacts, and it's miscellaneous. This right here is to think, to choose, to select, and that's the word group that it's in. To help, to care for, that's the word group that one's in. This one's in. To control, rule, which is 37. The subgroup is 101, assigned to a role or function. And possess, transfer, exchange is 57. And then to give is 0.88. So it organizes them in a little more structured way, which is really interesting. It took them a lot of time to do that. That couple that just kind of dedicated a huge portion of their life to this Greek dictionary. It's pretty impressive. And then BDAG down here, which is a little bit more difficult to distinguish and find results for. But for the sake of time, I won't go through that. There it is here, and the different understandings and definitions for the word. All right, so there's a rough draft for how to use the Lexicon Lookup. I am going to throw a bunch more videos up on how to use other things in LiveClick. The first being Lexicon Lookup. Then we're going to look at the word usage and verse lookup as well. And then we're also going to do, which I guess is not LiveClick, but we're going to do Amplify, which is the triple click. We're going to do a video on that. So there we go.